entitled The Village Named After a Dog, Matt.avi. Matt.avi, The Village Named After a Dog.
A tale from long ago, before the mighty Welsh oak trees were yet acorns upon the ground. In the green, rugged vales of Snowdonia, kingdom of Gwynedd, land of my fathers and of the pure, there lived a prince, Llywelyn Fawr, the ruler of all Wales. In the ancient Welsh language, the name Llywelyn Fawr means like a mighty lion, and just as a mighty lion, Llywelyn came to be. A long, flowing mane of hair, courageous, strong, a mighty warrior, and the greatest hunter in all land. His noble wife was Princess Joan, daughter of John of England, King of that great realm. And when they wed, John bestowed upon them a handsome dowry, a gold and purple satin cloak edged with ermine, choicest plunder from the Holy Lands, silks and high-priced spices, and 3 full pounds of silver. But the gift most valued to the prince, even before his noble lady, so I'm told, was a fine, long-legged, frolicking wolfhound puppy with great soft paws, the size of drinking goblets, and pure Irish stock. Gelert was his name, and when he grew, he stood tall and sleek. And so fleet of foot was Gelert, it said he could even outrun the arrows of his master's bow. And so feared was his great hound amongst the wolves that not one wolf dared within 7 leagues of Llywelyn's palace. And so it came to be, Llywelyn's flocks grew many in number, and he had more than he could graze on his land. Fine dog was Gelert. In his great wiry paws was the strength of all Ireland. A dozen Irish blacksmiths, they said. And so powerful his jaws, he could snap an ox bone clean in two with a single bite. And yet, so gentle was he, for he could carry the prince's infant son like a newborn pup in his great jaws, without so much as a scratch. And so patient, for when the mischievous knaves would tease and pull his tail, why, he would roll on his side and lick them, and even let them ride 2 or 3 on his back, wagging his great tail and barking merrily all the way for the merriment of the lords and ladies. Good sweet Gelert, Llywelyn would laugh, if I had but 24 men with hearts as true as yours, I were the greatest king in all of Christendom. Llywelyn loved his dog, and Gelert never left his side for 2 finer friends than ever. Now every year, at the fall of the leaf, when the days grew dark, golden-haired Llywelyn would take men and hounds up to the wooded vales of Glaslyn Pass, and there was a river flowing wide and fast through rocky pools and white-plumed falls. And there the deer would come, still fat from the summer's grazing, for their time of rutting. And from a great lodge, Llywelyn would go out and hunt. And so it was, one cold morning, with the dew still underfoot, Llywelyn's band went out into the forest, and they came upon a glade, where a proud red stag with pure white antlers strutted out before them. And Llywelyn drew his bow, but paused to heed his dog. But Gelert was nowhere to be seen. The stag bolted, and the men went on, but all that day Gelert did not return. Mightily displeased, Llywelyn Fawr returned early from the hunt that day, but he found the lodge deserted. Angrily, he called out, for he left his infant son inside with nursemaid. There was no reply. Llywelyn rushed inside, and in the corner was a crib overturned, empty. The boy's coverings were shredded and torn, and the floor timbers smeared with fresh blood. Prince Llywelyn turned white and let out a terrible cry, for his son was dead, but how? Then, through the door came Gelert, his mouth dripping white and red with foaming spit, his wiry black coat matted with blood. He looked strangely at his master, uncertain, his tail between his legs. And as he did, just as he did, he stole a duckling from the palace kitchen. Llewellyn grimly raised his eyes to heaven, and in a trice he plunged his hunting dagger into the side of the treacherous hound. Gelert let out a terrible yelp and fell to the ground, mortally wounded. But with the sound of the dog's yelp, there came an infant cry from outside. Llewellyn rushed to whence he heard the sound, and there, in the arms of the nursemaid, was the boy, unharmed. And beside him, a mighty grey wolf, lifeless, a jagged hole erect in his throat, all black with blood. For Gelert had not betrayed his master. By the saints, Gelert, what monstrous evil have I done this blackest of all my days? So I cried. Forgive me, boy. And he rushed to the dying hound's side. Sweet loyal Gelert, I begged a friend I never had. Llewellyn wept bitter tears of remorse, and as he reached down to comfort his dying hound, Gelert lifted his head meekly, and with his great soft paws on his master's wrist, his soft black tail thumping faintly on the ground, he looked back at Llewellyn and gently licked his master's hand before letting out his final breath. Well, Llewellyn went up to his mind with grief. He tore his clothes and, sobbing, carried the lifeless dog to the river, where he washed him tenderly like a child. And there he sat on the grassy bank all night throughout, with poor Gelert on his lap, cradling his head, squeezing his great paws as he used to, comforting him as if he were still alive, believing he might yet wake, pleading for forgiveness. The next day, Llewellyn separated them and buried Gelert by the river. Llewellyn never forgot Gelert's yelp, and it said he never smiled again. In remembrance, he built a monument and the church of St Mary, Eglwys Mary Sant. And the village that grew up around the church is called Beth Gelert, which means Gelert's grave in the Welsh town. The grave, the church, the village of Beth Gelert still there to this day, 800 years on. And if you come to Gwynedd, I'll take you there.